Don't be like.
Three, two, one, mics are live.
Yo, welcome to the Epic Vague Show. We are here again with a great relationship show. And normally our relationships is on men and women or
Right.
about a relationship about in today we got something a little special, something a little different. We're gonna talk about a family relationship. You know,
Family.
that's important because we all have different relationships in our family. The relationship that you got with your brother, your mother, your sister, or anybody, cousin, auntie, or whatever. Today we're gonna talk about what it's like to be in a relationship with your family and why, and get into it real thick. I got my guest here today. We got Demi Hendricks.
Hello,
Hey Demi, how you
hello,
doing?
hello. I'm
Hey.
good, Michael. Thank you for having me.
All right, and we got Nah the Annihilator,
What up, nah?
Miguel.
and definitely we got my man Bone on the throne.
Yeah, on
And
the
that's
throne with
that's that's
Bone.
that's my left hand, my right hand. That's my Shaq. That's my Conrad, my
Yeah.
side high. You
Front, back,
know.
side to side.
But listen,
You
we're gonna have a
know.
great time tonight. Bone, we're gonna really get into this and we're gonna find out what's happening. So one of our questions that we want to ask you, Demi, we want to ask you, what is your relationship right now with your father? That's like the head of the family. So is your grandfather still around?
No.
So right now will be your father.
Yes.
So what's your relationship with him right now? What is it like?
Right now, it's non-existent.
Why?
Non-existent. There's a lot of reasons why, but I could tell you as of reason recently why. My mother took sick this time last year. She was actually deathly ill this time last
Sorry to
year,
hear that.
and me and my father's relationship for the most part has always been we teeter-tot. I think it's like a control thing. I think it's also a competitive relationship as well. So we bumped heads a lot. But at the end of the day, I would always try to reason with him, especially in my older years and his. Prior to my mom passing, the 2 weeks before my mom passing, we were in her sitting in her hospital room. She wasn't in the room; she was down in X-ray. And on a normal day, when I come to visit my mom and ask how she was doing and what everything was going on, he would just start bitching about the staff and how nobody knew what they were doing and they weren't doing the right stuff. And he would be basically telling them how to do their job. Now, my background, is medicine. I just actually retired in 2020, 35
Okay.
years from the medical profession.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Um, so being the resource that he already had, he was not willing to use. He instead, not using my resource, he would call a family member who is family by blood, the basically, what should I do, or get opinion or advice. Um, this particular day, I went to the hospital and my mom was in the ER. I sat down and I actually brought he and my mom dinner or lunch because my mom hadn't been eating. So I fixed her a plate, just to see if she might eat some home food. And I sat down and we were sitting next to each other, just like you and I. And I said, "So how's things today, Dad?" And he says, opens his mouth, starts ranting, and I say, "You know what?" I said, "Daddy," I say, "you have to let these people do their jobs. They are educated. They have the experience
Right.
to do whatever it needs to be done." And I said, "Now, if you want me to ask the questions or speak to the medical professionals," before I could say anything, the man says, "Can I say something?" I said, "Oh, yeah," because I'm thinking, oh, we're about to have a decent conversation about this finally. So he instead, he slides out of his chair and turns all the way to me and leans into me with his finger in my face. And without saying anything, I just kind of slid out from underneath his little bondage and went over and grabbed my purse. He was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm leaving. We're not about to do this in my mama's room. I'm leaving." And as I'm walking out the door, he said, "If you leave, you make sure you don't
Never
come back."
come back. I've heard that before. I think we all have.
Wow, that's
So yeah,
that's a lot. I mean, to,
lot.
to deal with when you're really thinking it should be about my mom's
Yeah.
burial and her death and people mourning and just trying to get over this type of thing.
Yeah.
But to strike you with that kind of energy,
Yeah.
it's sickening first. But then again, there's always two sides to a
There's
story.
absolutely.
And then my partner always says three sides to a story.
That's right.
Your side, his side, and the bullshit. So you giving us your side of the bullshit?
I'm giving my side.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
giving you my truth.
Okay,
Okay.
no.
I'm giving you my truth.
So with that, what would it take for you to actually have a serious heart-to-heart with your dad?
It's
with
funny
Pops?
you say that because I've always, let me just describe me as a person, an individual. I'm one of those people where I give people the benefit of the doubt because I think that we all fall from grace every day, every second, every minute. I've been saved by grace, so I can't just not give you grace when you need it. I've made a lot of bad decisions. I've done things that I shouldn't have been doing, but God still gave me grace. So I always try to maintain that. Although he and I have been toxic for decades, I always gave him that grace. There's been incidents, things he's said, things he's done that I just kind of like, okay. And then, "Hey, Daddy," the next day, "Hey, Daddy, how you doing? What you need? So, being an only child, I was basically a server. When my mom got sick, it was like I had to go from not just taking care of her, but also trying to help him maintain his well-being as well, which was difficult because, as I said, he's
All
a
the
very
resistance.
mean man, and he was very resistant.
So we're going to take it back again. What is it going to take for you to have a sit-down, a heart-to-heart with Pops?
I tried.
So first of all,
It
like
takes
this
for him
happened.
to
Hold on,
call
let me
my
ask you a
name.
question. So this happened only after the funeral. I mean, after the funeral. So how was your relationship before the funeral?
Before the funeral, it was strange because he was not listening to or adhering to what I was trying to tell him as far as my mother's medical care. So that's where it
Right.
the ground started shaking right
But
there.
you also said that growing up,
Yeah,
it was pretty tough.
it was tough.
Pops was tough on you as well.
Very tough. Very tough.
Was he fair?
No. Not at all. Not at all.
So in detail, what are some of the things that took place that kind of got y'all in this?
That you wouldn't wish on nobody.
Okay, so I have, I'm not against disciplining your children. I think there's a certain way that we could discipline our children without making our children feel like you're hurting them. I remember my mother, before she popped me or she spanked me, she would say, "I love you" afterwards, or she would sit me
Right.
down and have a
Tough
conversation with me. So I never felt like she was trying to hurt me, but with him it was very, very different. I remember times I had long, curly, thick hair, and I remember times when he would get at me with the belt, and it wasn't just the belt, it was the way he handled me while he was whooping me. He would grab me by all my hair
Oh wow. So we talking about
and
abuse.
strap me. Yeah. Until I was, and now I'm an asthmatic. So, and as a kid, I was a chronic asthmatic. I stayed in the hospital. I was in the hospital every other day. Every other day.
Wow.
My mom saved my life. We'll get to that. She saved my life at 2 years old, but I was a chronic asthmatic, and when I had that kind of discipline, I would literally go into an asthma attack.
Wow.
You know, at times when I was growing up, I just wished that my mom would step forward and say, "This is not cool. This is not how we want to, I want to train her or how I want to bring her up." She was very passive when it came to him.
So when you say passive, like you said that she's been very passive, that means she would turn the blind eye.
Yeah, she would, "Oh, baby, just pray about it." Especially like the
What
older
about
I got.
let me get into this. Were there any intercourse, sexual
No.
pressure or anything like that?
None of that. It's mainly mental, emotional, psyche. He got into my psyche, and the physical abuse was the whoopings, and then after I got big enough, he started slapping
Girl,
the
you
taste out
you
my
need
mouth.
to get whooped. Everybody, I got whoopings too.
hold
No,
on.
no. I'm
You
just-
said slapping the taste out your mouth?
Oh yeah, he would pop me. Yeah,
You ever go to school and have marks and
abusers know how to protect themselves without leaving marks. Yeah.
So singling you out, just singling you out of all the kids and everybody else in the household. How did you feel? Like having to deal with the other people in the house that wasn't treating you bad.
There was no other person in the house but my mother. It was just me, my mom,
What?
and dad. I was an only child.
What do you think about this, Bone?
I mean,
No, serious. What do you think about
I'm
this?
gonna tell the truth. I mean, there's three sides to every story.
Okay.
Totally agree.
But I'm a compassionate person. I'm very understanding. I wouldn't wish this on nobody, first and foremost. And we as men, first of all, from our mamas alone, we know that women grow up with a lot of abuse, one way or another. Physical, mental, verbal. I mean, it's a given. It's been pretty rare and common in the black family.
So, as Nah is here with us, Nah, what do you think? Like, you listening to this conversation, what do you think about that family structure and the father? You got any insight? Or?
I have a father, and it's a totally different experience. So, my father came from a broken home, so he was determined to ensure his family was not broken. So, I think because of that, he whooped us, of course, but not. I think
What's the worst thing you ever got whooped with?
A bill.
Okay. Because
Oh,
back in the
but-
days, people get whooped extension cords,
Bill?
plungers,
right.
bags, clothes hangers, anything that was in the
Hey,
shoe.
The
There's a
belt. What
difference
about the
between
buckle on
The
the
buckle,
belt?
yeah.
Yes.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Probably, but not intentionally. But there's a difference between.
And then you got to think about this.
So yeah,
Your
let me
parent
finish.
had to be super angry with you to hit you with a buckle or extension cord.
Now look, see now we making excuses and stories for them.
Right.
Now what you mean they gotta be very angry?
Right.
Your parents gotta have a serious problem if they hitting you with a bucket.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that
mean, we
too.
know we some bad kids or was some bad kids, but
Yeah, there's a
come on,
line.
man.
Always a thin line. There's always that gray
You have to
area
think about,
when it
you
comes
know,
to
you hitting your
abuse.
precious child with an extension cord, you know, for some odd purpose of him not or she not picking up a cup or food that they wasted or dropped or something like that. The mindset is something different. It's something
There's a
different.
difference between chastising, beating your children, and disciplining your children.
Exactly.
There's two
Right.
different things.
Exactly.
Tough love.
We were
Tough love.
disciplined. My
Out the
father was
window.
a
But we
military
t-
man, so.
But we talking about abuse here.
But that's abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For a very long time.
Yeah.
We talking about some type of healing taking place, some type of
Absolutely.
way, starting with you guys communicating. But it's not just your pops, it's the whole family has turned on you, correct?
Yeah. Well, not the whole family. So he has a sister who is a doctor, pastor, reverend. And I only say that because she's so proud of her titles. That's how she introduces herself, basically.
Okay.
But she officiates all the family member funerals, officiates the weddings and stuff. So she was pretty much his goon to go to help him with what he did in my mother's final wishes, with my mother's final wishes. Right down to the point where I've heard recently that they've either even went into my mother's room and have pulled all my mother's stuff out, cleaned out my mama's room, and got some female living in her room.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean,
Whose claims? Wait, let me just make this clear. She claims to be my mother's best friend.
This is less than a year, right?
This is 2 months ago.
No, I'm saying your
Yeah.
mom. Yeah.
Mommy's not. It's January 28th. It'll be a year.
This is the world we live in.
Can I also add that this same woman sat in the first row with me, my children, and my father at the funeral.
oh, she part of the family.
During the funeral, the pastor, Dr. Reverend, decided to get up and give my mom the eulogy, and goes on to say, Stella, she made it a point to say, because my parents were foster parents at the time I went into their home, they had like 12 children under the age or over the age of 8. So, but my dad worked outside the house, so he never really dealt with the children except for when he dealt with the children, if you know what I mean. So, sometimes I have to take a break because I get so mad. She went in to do the eulogy and started to say, Stella had a lot of children. She had a lot. Who did Stella take care of? Who did Stella help raise? And who did Stella this, that, and the other? Oh, well, she had one special child, and she fell in love with that child, and eventually, I have the clip I meant to tell you, eventually
Okay.
adopted her. And goes on to say she loved her baby. She did everything for her daughter. She did things she wasn't supposed to do for her daughter. Wait, first of all, I'm like, really? Did she just say this at my mama's? So she was taking jabs at me. Wow. During the service.
Well, I want to ask you, what would resolve all of this? Is there anything? Is there any way that it can be resolved? What could be done to bring this family back together?
I would say I've done all I could. The next move would have to be theirs. And I will be totally open.
So, prayer and being on your knees and bowing and doing all these things, and also a congregational prayer with people praying with you moves things a lot stronger. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
When you got that overall in your life, and in a minute we're gonna have Uncle Mario's media. We're gonna have Uncle Mario Media, which is it's where we at now. That's the studio, Uncle Mario Media Studio. So we giving a shout out. But also we're gonna have Ricardo Love, Rico Love, gonna come in with the Qualified to Love. So what he's gonna do is kind of close the show out and talk about what he's listening to right now.
Okay.
And he is this expert on all reality for love, family, relationships.
Okay.
And that's called the Ricardo Love Show. Check us out. But Ricardo will be coming in a few minutes. He's probably back there getting makeup up right now and all that good stuff.
And you know, one thing I want to touch on, D, is that you said it is some family that you are still getting some love. When's the last time you guys had a family reunion or a picnic or a gathering, or what would it take from you, like something different, to actually make an impact on the family, to show them that, you know, we not promised the next moment, let alone tomorrow, so let's
Yeah.
love each other up.
Yeah.
And your kids see this.
Yeah. They're really, my babies are grown, but they are really heartbroken. I am planning something for January 28th. I'm planning on going out to my hometown and doing a memorial for my mom with the family members who were unable to come here for her services, which no one really pretty much could not come except for the ones that was supporting my dad.
So you blackballing some people.
Not blackballing. I don't plan on it. I honestly have already said it because I was originally supposed to do it last year for my mom's first birthday that she was not here. And I had already said, I don't mind if you come, just don't bring the drama. Right. This is not about drama because I didn't create the drama, nor did I have drama when I went to my mother's funeral. I could have tore that whole cemetery and chapel up. But I sustained and I kept hearing my mom's voice, baby. Don't worry, it's gonna be okay. And I promised her the night before she passed away that I would be okay. So I've struggled. Trust me, it's hard. I actually got myself in therapy. I'm working on me.
Okay.
So if I'm already building up those new boundaries. They don't.
About that therapy.
Man,
Let me ask you
listen.
this question. You know how people tell you just let it go, like everything from your
I've been hearing it.
childhood and even things maybe in the present. Do you agree with that? Like let it go and just move on, or do you feel like it's something that you have to actually work through?
And that's exactly what I was gonna say. Lately, because I've been getting that. I have gotten that as of recent. I just got it, and I told him, I said, you know, I'm grieving. You know, I'm not only mourning my mother, I'm also mourning my dad. I still genuinely have concerns and care for my dad, regardless of what kind of relationship we had. I was their only child for 52 years. So
And you want it to be right.
And I wanted to be right. I did. I went and got an education, had a career. I mean, I've done everything that you as a parent or we as parents would like to see your children do. But to answer your question, I'll say, you know what? Grieving, there's no time limit on it. You know, you don't know how long you're going to be grieving.
That's that right.
So you have to utilize that time the way you utilize it. If you're not allowing yourself to use and have the resources that's out there to keep your mental right, man, in this day and state we're in, man, and we as Black people too, we got to really focus on that. There's nothing wrong with sitting on somebody's couch. Nothing wrong.
What about the kids and their grandfather? What kind?
Well, my youngest daughter, my oldest daughter was not really like, they weren't close like my youngest daughter. That was his baby. He's basically just counted her out. I was asked to leave his house a month ago when I heard that he was dying of cancer. I went by there. I hadn't seen or
Dying of cancer?
dying of cancer.
Your father.
Yes.
Well, listen, we gonna just hold up for a minute here. We're gonna have my man Ricardo Love come
Okay.
in, and he's going to elaborate on some of the stuff about
Okay.
relationships and about what he's heard and what we talked about. So how you doing today, Ricardo, my man? Y'all give him a hand. Give Ricardo a hand.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
So I run an organization called Qualified to Love. Qualified to Love is a Black male-female relationship group. We have experts come in, therapists and stuff, and authors and books. A lot of it is just us figuring it out for ourselves. It's about the intention of us dealing with something what we're calling now is childhood wounds, past relationship wounds. But childhood wounds is where it always starts. Yeah. These are wounds that you get in childhood that you may be cognizant of, you may not know, and they come up. There's triggers that happen. Say, for instance, if your father didn't listen to you, feel like you never listened to you, he would never. So when you get in a relationship, it triggers that. It's like, no, I'm going to be hurt. And so you put a 10 on the 2, so to speak, from their perspective. But you're really going from that trigger of never being heard, that childhood wound of never being heard. So what we have to do is one, forgive our parents because they did the best that they know how to do with the level that they had. They didn't have all this Oprah stuff and, get in touch with your feelings. It's like child is to be seen, not heard. All these things, this leftover slave mentality stuff, beat them like they're a runaway slave, and that's how you raise a child. You talked about that, the difference between, discipline and just abuse. And there could be a fine line in our culture, but now, and some of us still hold on to that. Well, that's why we ain't doing this, because we was beat, and and so there's it's the intention and everything. I'm gonna put my daughter's business out there. She whooped her child old school, and that school found out, and they took her to jail. She was in there for like 3-4 days. So anywho, you can't do that. So the connection between the childhood, how you were raised, the modeling that you had as your father, and how that deals with your current relationships or past relationships. Even if he was a good father, even if he was a good provider, then you might even the positive side can affect you, because you expecting to live up to your father. Well, my father always took care, but y'all broke down men, ain't you know what I'm saying? So positive and negative can have an effect on what your a thing we deal with negotiables and non-negotiables. So your non-negotiable typically would be he can't put his hands on you, he can't cheat on you, at least repeatedly. You might forgive him once or whatever, and vice versa. And your negotiables might be you want somebody tall, dark, and handsome, but you find somebody a little light skinned like me, and you go ahead and give in. But anywho, so you got to know the difference between and know what you will settle for, what you won't settle for. But the primary thing, and what we're dealing with today, is a family structure, and how we have to we have to take responsibility. We can't put that bitterness on our parents and stuff, and we're going to get at that in future shows. This show, The Vague, we're going to be dealing with a lot with relationships and every aspect of that. And today we're talking about how the family relationship works, and I just put in a spin on how it affects our male-female relationships. So thank you very much.
Hey,
Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Yeah, y'all give Ricardo a hand now. Come on, y'all give That's my guy right there. Ricardo
She
gonna
gotta
come in and
drink.
give you the real every time.
Them real
Go ahead, Bone.
gems, them real gems and jewels.
Can I just say one last thing though?
Please.
Like,
Hurry up, make it quick.
okay, so to answer back with
Really
Ricardo
quick,
when
really
he
quick.
said,
You got 20 seconds.
Okay. I have no bitterness. This is why I'm talking about it. I want someone out there who has dealt with, is going through, has experience in something just like I have. And just know you're not out there alone. It's not about who's wrong or right. You need to decide what's going to bring you peace. Protect your peace. Period.
Thank you. Hey, listen, thank you for tuning in to the Epic Vague Show. We are having a great time here. I thank my guests for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And it's an interesting story, and I think we probably should bring you back to talk about it a little more. And also my lady Na in the building, Nana, and my man Bone on the throne with Bone, on the throne with Bone. Listen, so now before we get ready to go, that Bone, what you got to say?
Man, what I got to say is,
Don't say nothing.
See,
He interrupting. It's talking about you only have 20 seconds.
Just
This
listen.
is show. All right, man. I'm
Okay,
just a
so
co-pilot. No, for real.
Talk to me. Let's talk to me.
Family relationship show. I love this show. I love talking about this. We know it's the holiday season, God. A lot of people hurt, man. Let's love up on each other. We not promised the next moment. You know what I mean? For real. So that's my thing. And watch the drunk driving. No drunk driving out there.
Amen.
No drinking.
Get
and
you an
driving.
Uber or something like that.
Uber, Lyft, bus, call a homie.
Okay, listen, folks. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, peace until next Thursday. Peace until next Thursday. We also do live on Wednesday, but we want to give a shout out to everybody that we didn't call out their name. It's all invisible. Peace.